The October sun blazed down on the parched pens of Parsons' livestock auction in Kansas, casting a harsh light over everything. In pen 17, a small sorrel filly with a white blaze cowered against the wooden railings, doing her best to remain unseen. She was known only as Lot 41, a mere number that carried no weight or identity beyond the paper affixed to the gate. Every breath she took was heavy with apprehension. Humans milling about made her heart race, and instincts scream for her to vanish. Their laughter echoed around her like haunting whispers. "Look at that club foot," one man jeered from his position by the rail, leaning back in a way that seemed almost mocking. "Breeders should have put her down at birth," chimed in his companion, the disdain palpable in his voice. "Waste of feed keeping her this long." Lot 41 stood there trembling, acutely aware of how grotesque her left front leg appeared, a twisted appendage that curled inward at an unnatural angle. From birth, each step had been accompanied by pain so profound it felt like a constant companion. Her mother had looked upon her deformed hoof and rejected her without hesitation, leaving the filly to be raised by ranch hands who treated her as little more than an obligation until they eventually deemed her unworthy. As she braced herself in the corner of the pen, the metallic screech of a gate opening snapped Lot 41 from her fearful trance. Her ears pinned flat against her skull as a handler entered with a lead rope slung over one shoulder. The sight sent fresh waves of terror coursing through her veins. With gruff words muttered under his breath, "Come on, you worthless thing," he snapped the lead onto her halter and began dragging her toward the auction ring. Lot 41 fought against him, not out of defiance, but from sheer dread, as he yanked forcefully at the rope around her muzzle. The pressure on her bad leg caused it to buckle beneath her weight, nearly sending both horse and human crashing to the ground amidst laughter from nearby observers who reveled in their collective cruelty. The chaos inside the auction ring overwhelmed Lot 41's senses. Bright lights cast stark shadows across polished surfaces, while unfamiliar scents filled every corner, fear and sweat mingling into an acrid concoction she could taste on her tongue. Standing alone at center stage among all those towering humans made every muscle tremble. She couldn't understand what they were saying, but recognized instinctively that judgment hung heavily in their eyes. "Quarter-horse filly," said an auctioneer's voice, loud and ringing in direct contrast to all surrounding noise. "5 months old, club foot as you can see, sold as is." "Who'll give me $50 to start?" Silence greeted him like a thick fog rolling over fields before dawn. A silence tinged with indifference toward someone so visibly broken, the echo of the auctioneer's voice cut through the air like a blade, slicing into the suffocating silence that enveloped Lot 41. She stood frozen at the center of a swirling storm, her heart racing as fear coursed through her veins. The glaring lights above amplified her isolation, casting long shadows across the polished wooden floor and illuminating the curious faces of strangers who had come to inspect her. A broken creature on display. "Quarter-horse filly," he called out again, his tone sharp and commanding. "5 months old, club foot as you can see, sold as is. Who'll give me $50 to start?" The words reverberated in her ears. Not just an announcement, but a judgment, an assessment of worth based solely on her twisted leg. Silence engulfed the room like a heavy fog, thick with apathy. The crowd shifted restlessly, eyes darting from one human to another as they awaited any sign of interest or disdain toward her pitiful form. She sensed their disdain creeping closer, felt it hang in the air like smoke from a dying fire. An indifference that made her skin crawl. Then came a murmur, a spark igniting against the backdrop of disinterest. 25. A man in a crisp white shirt raised his hand lazily. He leaned back against the rail, boredom oozing from every pore. Another bout of silence descended, as if even the walls were stunned by this inadequate offering, for what they saw only as an unwanted burden. But then there was another voice, rising from somewhere deeper in the crowd, a sound infused with resolve and purpose that broke through the cacophony surrounding Lot 41. 50! It rang out clear and true. A tall figure emerged at the rear, a man whose weathered face radiated kindness she had never known. His gaze held hers with an intensity that pierced through layers of despair. He saw past flesh and bone right into her soul. 50! Repeated the auctioneer with renewed energy, while glancing between bidders as tension electrified the air around them. An amused chuckle rippled through some spectators at such audacity. Yet something about this man struck chords within Lot 41's heart. The pulse quickened beneath her ribcage, a flicker of hope igniting where none had existed before. 60! Came another swift bid from Death Smell Man near front row, his irritation evident now that someone dared contest him over what he considered mere livestock rather than living beings deserving compassion. "Do I hear 70?" shouted back another voice, not from her would-be savior, but seemingly born out of neediness for validation amidst all these humans playing games with lives they didn't understand. Lot 41's breath caught sharply. She glanced nervously between these two men, one eager for victory over whatever felt right about winning, while opposite stood someone willing to risk himself, to fight for more than mere numbers on paper. 70! There it was again, the kind-hearted stranger's voice, unwavering among chaos. It sent tremors running down Lot 41's spine, like electric currents sparking new life into dormant dreams long buried beneath layers of neglect. 80. The metallic screech of the gate shattered the tension in pen 17, causing Lot 41 to jerk her head up, ears pinned flat against her skull. The air hung thick with uncertainty as a figure stepped inside, brandishing a lead rope like an executioner wielding a blade. Her instincts screamed for her to retreat further into the corner, but she was already backed against the fence, trapped with nowhere to escape. "Come on, you worthless thing," the handler grumbled through clenched teeth, snapping the lead onto her halter with a sharp tug. Panic surged within her. Every nerve in her body protested as he dragged her toward the auction ring. She stumbled forward, her twisted leg nearly giving way beneath her. Laughter erupted from the crowd outside, cruel voices that echoed off metal and wood, and each jeer felt like an icy dagger digging deeper into her heart. "Look at that clubfoot," one man hollered, leaning over the rail as if he were watching some sickening spectacle rather than a living creature. Breeders should have put her down at birth. His companion nodded in agreement, their eyes glazed over with indifference. With every comment about being useless or broken that reached her ears, she shrank further inward, desperately wishing to vanish from their view. As they approached the bright lights of the auction ring, where chaos reigned supreme, the overwhelming sense of sweat and fear washed over Lot 41 like waves crashing upon jagged rocks. She stood at center stage among towering humans who observed her as if she were nothing more than an object for sale, a commodity stripped of its worth by circumstance alone. The noise buzzed around like angry bees. All she could do was tremble. "Quarter horse filly, 5 months old, clubfoot as you can see, sold as is." The auctioneer's voice boomed loud and clear amidst the fray, but lacked any warmth or compassion. It was merely transactional. "Who'll give me $50 to start?" Silence ensued, a deep stillness where no one dared speak up for something so visibly flawed. Lot 41 shifted nervously on unsteady hooves, while glancing anxiously among those scrutinizing faces, each gaze evaluating not who she could be, but solely what she lacked. As anticipation turned stale in that momentary quietude, there came a flicker of hope as another voice rose from far back within the crowd. 50! It broke through like a beacon cutting through darkness, a man standing tall near the rear who seemed somehow different from all others gathered here today. He had kind eyes reflecting understanding instead of judgment, and didn't focus only on what was wrong with Lot 41. Instead, he saw her. With renewed determination pulsing through him, a fighter ready to challenge injustices, The bidding began anew. 60, came death smell. Man's annoyed shout from up front without hesitation, a single finger raised defiantly against this stranger's resolve. But then again, returned to silence as Cody held firm, despite all odds stacked against them. The trailer jolted slightly as Cody brought it to a stop, the gentle sway sending echoes of new beginnings through the filly. Her heart raced with uncertainty, yet a flicker of curiosity ignited within her as the door swung open. The air here was different, fresh and rich with the sense of grass and earth, promising something that felt wholly unfamiliar yet inviting. Cody stepped into the trailer first, his presence reassuring like a lighthouse guiding her home. "You're okay," he murmured softly, his voice steady and warm against her quivering nerves. She wanted to believe him. She really did. With cautious determination, she took a step forward but halted as doubt gripped her tight once more. The ramp loomed ahead like an insurmountable mountain. "Just one step at a time," Cody encouraged gently from below, keeping the lead rope loose in his hand. The kindness in his tone wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, urging her on without force or impatience. Gathering all of her courage, she shifted her weight onto her bad leg and carefully navigated down the ramp. Every inch descended felt like climbing Everest. She reached solid ground at last, but stumbled upon landing. Her front leg buckled painfully beneath her weight, sending shockwaves of panic coursing through her body. A chuckle erupted from someone nearby, a sound that made dread swell in her chest. But it wasn't Cody's voice. He knelt beside her instantly, steadying her with gentle hands against anxious flanks. "Easy there," he said, soothingly, while brushing soothing fingers along her neck, as if sensing every tremor of uncertainty within. She fought for breath while he slowly helped lift her back up to standing, each touch grounding amidst waves of fear, trying to drag her under again. As they stepped out into this new world together, sunlight cascaded over them, a golden shower illuminating everything in sight. The vast expanse filled with rolling green fields, dotted with wildflowers and grazing horses caught in casual camaraderie across pastures far and wide. It was magnificent. And for a fleeting moment, the filly forgot about all those harsh words thrown carelessly by strangers at auction about being worthless or broken, and instead marveled at how lush life could be here under Cody's watchful gaze. "Welcome to the Bowman Ranch," Cody spoke softly, as if sharing a precious secret just between them. With each word spoken reverently into existence came promise of healing, acceptance, all wrapped tenderly within those syllables, meant only for ears that longed to hear them truly understood beyond mere judgmental gazes. A cacophony of nickers resonated around them. Other horses were watching curiously from their own enclosures. Each one seemed composed and confident, not caged nor desperate, but embodying freedom itself instead. As they wandered toward the barn, nestled amidst trees swaying lazily in late afternoon breezes infused with wildflower fragrance, it felt alive. As they approached the barn, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the ground. The Philadelphia's heart raced, her breathing quickening as they drew nearer to a world she had never known, a place that smelled of hay and horses, where hope flickered like a distant light. Each step was a battle against her twisted leg, but she pressed on under Cody's steady encouragement. "Easy now," he murmured, his voice wrapping around her like a warm blanket. "You're safe here." The filly halted at the barn entrance, hesitation creeping in as she surveyed the inviting interior. The air was thick with comforting scents, fresh straw mingled with leather and something sweetly earthy. She blinked, taking it all in, the sturdy beams overhead, the sun spilling through windows like golden ribbons. Cody gently nudged her forward with a hand resting on her neck. "Come on, let's get you settled." His touch was reassuring, a balm to her frayed nerves, and she felt an unfamiliar warmth rise within her chest. Inside, everything felt different, It wasn't just another pen or auction ring filled with pointed fingers and judgmental eyes. It was home waiting to unfold its possibilities. As they moved deeper into the barn, light streamed through openings above them and illuminated patches of soft bedding piled high in stalls. "Here we go," Cody said softly, as he led her to a spacious stall adorned with fresh shavings that looked invitingly plush compared to what she had known before. The filly stepped cautiously inside and inhaled deeply. This new environment wrapped around her like a hug. "Eat up," Cody encouraged as he placed down clean hay beside her water bucket, crystal clear and cool, offering sustenance for both body and spirit. She lowered her head instinctively towards the food. Hunger gnawed at her insides after days of neglect. The filly nibbled at the hay hungrily while Cody watched patiently from outside the stall door. He leaned casually against the wooden frame as if sharing an intimate moment rather than overseeing an auction rescue. His presence radiated reassurance that she was not merely another commodity to be traded away, but a being deserving of care. "You know," he began thoughtfully, watching her munch contentedly on the fresh hay, "I've been thinking about names." A pause hung between them as he stroked his chin in contemplation. His warm brown eyes sparkled with kindness. Names mean something special. She paused mid-chew, ears flicking back inquisitively toward him, sensing there was more coming, a hint of destiny mixed in those simple words. "The folks at the auction called you Lot 41. His voice took on a softer tone, filled with understanding and compassion, devoid of condemnation, that made each syllable resonate deep within her being. "But that's not who you are. Not anymore." He watched closely for any sign of recognition from her, an awareness, blossoming perhaps. But mostly, she focused intently on him, listening to every word carefully crafted into existence between them, like threads weaving together their fates anew. "I think we can do better than Lot 41. Valor stood at the entrance of her stall, the soft, fragrant bedding cushioning her feet. The scent of fresh hay mingled with the earthy aroma of leather and wood around her, wrapping her in a sense of safety she had never known before. Cody leaned against the wooden post just outside her enclosure, his warm gaze fixed on her with a steady kindness that sent ripples of calm through her anxious heart. "Today's going to be a big day for you," he said softly, his voice low and soothing like the gentle rustle of leaves in a summer breeze. "We're going to work on some exercises to help your leg." Each word fell into place like pieces of a puzzle she was eager to solve. As he moved closer, Valor instinctively shifted back, a nervous habit ingrained from her past experiences, but she felt the warmth radiating from him. He wasn't here to hurt her. She sensed that deep down. Gathering her courage, she took one hesitant step forward. The light from the barn filtered through the slats, catching the shine on her coat as if it were highlighting not just what was on the outside, but everything she held within, her spirit waiting to emerge. Cody knelt down beside her stall door so he could meet her eyes at eye level. "You're not alone anymore," he reassured gently, extending a hand toward her with an open palm, a gesture meant only for trust. "I'm right here." Valor studied him closely. There was something sincere about his presence that made something inside of her begin to thaw. Tentatively, she stepped closer again, leaning forward slightly until their noses nearly touched. She blew out softly against his hand and felt his warmth enveloping hers, the connection igniting sparks within that she never realized existed before now. This was different from fear. This was curiosity tinged with hope. "That's it," Cody praised quietly, seeing how brave she had become in such a short time. With newfound determination coursing through her veins, Valor took another step forward while testing the stability of both legs beneath herself. The once terrifying idea now more enticing than ever as each hoof landed firmly onto familiar ground instead of uncertain soil where judgment used to reign supreme over every choice made in life. Let's take it slow, Cody urged gently as he slowly slipped a lead rope over her halter, making sure not to pull or force anything upon her too quickly, allowing time for understanding rather than command, because this wasn't about breaking free, but bonding instead. Two souls learning how to trust one another anew amidst old ghosts haunting them, still lurking behind corners, yet unseen. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the pasture as Cody led Valor to a small fenced area near the barn. The air was thick with the scent of fresh hay and earth, and birds chirped cheerfully in the trees. Despite her initial hesitation, Valor had taken strides toward trusting this man who had saved her from neglect. Today felt like a new chapter, a chance to show what she could do. As Cody stood beside her, gently stroking her neck, a soft nicker escaped Valor's lips. It was an expression of budding confidence mingled with uncertainty. She shifted her weight carefully on her legs, testing each step. Her body still bore signs of past neglect, muscles weak from years of disuse. But with each passing day at the Bowman Ranch, she felt stronger. "Okay, girl," Cody said softly. "Let's try something different today." The world around them seemed quiet as he prepared to work with her. Until it wasn't. A distant rumble broke through their moment. Tires crunching over gravel announced the arrival of visitors. Curiosity peaked within Valor as she turned her ears toward the sound. Who could be coming here? Her heart raced slightly, not from fear but anticipation mixed with unease. As a truck pulled up to the barn's entrance and came to a halt, two figures emerged, a man and woman, dressed sharply in jeans and boots that gleamed under the afternoon sun. They approached, their demeanor radiating skepticism and judgment. Cody straightened up, his posture shifting just enough for Valor to feel an undercurrent of tension pooling between them. "Hey there," he called out brightly, but noticed how both strangers were eyeing his prize filly skeptically. They were taking in every detail, the way she limped slightly or how one leg twisted at an awkward angle. "Is this lot 41? The woman asked coolly, raising an eyebrow as if confirming some unspoken doubts about the creature standing before them. "Yes," Cody replied confidently, though he could sense that skepticism draping over them like a heavy cloak. "But I prefer calling her Valor now." Valor lifted her head proudly at hearing that name. It felt like more than just a title. It embodied everything she aspired to be, brave and worthy despite all odds stacked against her. "Valor?" The man scoffed lightly before exchanging glances with his companion. He stepped forward without hesitation into Valor's space, as if sizing up a horse for sale rather than appreciating one healing from adversity. "You know these things are supposed to be useful," he continued derisively while gesturing toward her injured leg dismissively. "She'll never amount to anything." The words struck harder than any whip ever could. Valor flinched instinctively at his tone, while shifting backward slightly on unsteady legs beneath him, where doubt began creeping back in like dark shadows threatening light. "She deserves a chance," Cody shot back defensively but firmly. His eyes narrowed protectively over Valor's form, revealing both irritation and determination swirling within him. "But you really think she'll ever be worth anything?" Valor stood at the entrance of the training arena, her breath coming in soft huffs as she absorbed the sights and sounds around her. The early morning light filtered through the trees, casting gentle shadows that danced on the ground. The air was crisp and filled with the earthy scent of freshly turned soil mixed with hints of hay, an aromatic reminder that this place could be a sanctuary for her. Cody stood nearby, watching with a blend of anticipation and concern etched across his weathered face. "It's time to begin," he said softly, his voice both soothing and encouraging. He stepped toward her slowly, not wanting to startle her. Valor shifted her weight slightly as she sensed his presence. Each step was deliberate, accompanied by a slight tremor of uncertainty beneath the surface. "Let's take it slow," Cody urged gently as he slipped a lead rope over her halter, careful not to pull or rush anything upon her too quickly. This wasn't just about commands, but about forging a bond built on trust amidst echoes of their shared pasts. With a deep breath, Cody led Valor into the arena. The ground felt solid beneath them, yet every step reminded Valor of how precarious life had once been. As they moved further inside, she instinctively stayed close to him, seeking comfort in his familiar presence while battling remnants of fear that whispered from the corners of her mind. "Just like we practiced," Cody murmured, as they began to walk together in circles, a simple exercise meant to acclimate them both to this new routine. Valor focused on his calm demeanor as he spoke softly about everything they would do together. "This is just our first day. There's no rush." Each word washed over her like a warm breeze, but doubt flickered at the edges of Valor's thoughts when Cody asked for more from her than just walking. A sudden flinch surged through her body when he reached out an arm toward his tool bench, a movement that brought back memories of harsh hands and careless treatment at the auction house, where she had been merely considered Lot 41. Her heart raced as he retrieved a long, whip-like tool used for guiding horses during training sessions, a lunge whip, and lifted it high above his head before letting it drop gracefully beside him onto the ground. "This is only an extension of my guidance," he explained reassuringly, while watching closely for any sign that she might feel threatened. Yet even with assurances floating in the air around them like fragile bubbles ready to pop under pressure, Valor couldn't shake off every shadow lurking within. Old scars ran deeper than visible injuries ever could, and those wounds were more resilient than any physical reminders left behind by neglect and disdain at the auction house. Taking another step forward while testing both legs' stability beneath herself became imperative. The once terrifying idea now tantalizingly appealing, as each hoof landed firmly onto familiar ground rather than uncertain soil where judgment used to reign supreme over every choice made in life. As Valor stood there, uncertainty flickered within her as the man's sharp words pierced the air like a whip crack. Her body instinctively recoiled, the tremors of doubt surging through her limbs as if igniting long-buried fears. She stepped back slightly, unsteady on her hooves, feeling shadows creeping back into her heart, shadows of disdain and neglect from that dreadful auction where she had been labeled worthless. "Your hope for this one is misplaced," the stranger continued, his tone dripping with scorn while he gestured dismissively toward her injured leg. "She'll never be more than a pasture ornament." The contempt in his voice echoed loudly in Valor's ears, reverberating off walls of past hurt. Cody's eyes narrowed dangerously, an unwavering protector in this moment of vulnerability. "You're wrong," he shot back defiantly, but with an undercurrent of conviction that bolstered Valor's spirit amidst the cacophony of harsh judgments surrounding them. "She deserves a chance. You can't see what I see." His gaze lingered protectively on her form, a shield against those biting words that could cut deeper than any physical injury ever could. Valor's heart raced as she absorbed the exchange. The notion that others still viewed her through lenses clouded by judgment made it hard to shake off lingering feelings of inadequacy and fear. Every word directed at her felt like a reminder of all those moments spent cowering in corners or retreating from human contact. A history written not just on her bad leg, but etched deep within. Summoning every ounce of courage she possessed, Valor took a hesitant step forward onto solid ground beneath her hooves, testing its familiar texture while reevaluating each movement carefully. The small act transformed into something monumental. It was no longer simply about moving closer to Cody. It became a testament to reclaiming agency over herself. A gentle breeze stirred around them, carrying scents of fresh grass mingled with wildflowers, the fragrance uplifting despite all odds. "Look," Cody said softly but firmly as he knelt beside her and extended an inviting hand forward without hesitation. "I believe in you." His presence radiated warmth and patience, the very qualities she desperately craved amidst uncertainty, and anchored her spiraling thoughts down to the present moment rather than allowing them to drift into painful recollections. Valor slowly leaned toward him. Cody's palm brushed softly along her neck as he whispered reassurances meant only for her. "You are strong. You have spirit." It seemed impossible for anyone else to notice it, yet here they were. Two souls connecting through shared experiences and struggles against adversity. Yet still lurking behind Valor's newfound resolve was apprehension. What if the journey forward was fraught with setbacks? What if today marked another instance where progress would slip away like grains of sand between fingers? With each passing second filled with contemplation came rising tension. Old scars ran deeper than mere physical limitations ever could. Valor stood there, the sun filtering through the leaves above, casting dappled shadows on the ground beneath her hooves. Each breath she took felt more measured now, a dance between fear and newfound courage. Her heart raced as she shifted her weight slightly, feeling the soft earth beneath her. It seemed to beckon her forward. "Just a little further," Cody encouraged softly, his voice warm and steady like the gentle breeze that danced around them. She hesitated momentarily. Old memories of scorn and neglect flickered in her mind, like ghosts haunting an abandoned house. The laughter from the auction still echoed in her ears, mocking, derisive. But here was Cody, standing firm before her, his eyes filled with unwavering belief. He had seen beyond what others deemed worthless, seeing instead a spirit that longed to break free from chains of doubt. Valor took a tentative step forward. Each hoof placement felt deliberate yet uncertain. The once familiar sensations of anxiety crept in as past fears threatened to resurface, a fear of failure that could shatter everything she had worked for thus far. But as she looked into Cody's kind face, those anxieties began to melt away like morning fog under the sun's warmth. She needed to trust him and herself. "Come on now," he coaxed gently, offering his hand toward her as if it were a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. His palm glowed against the golden light surrounding them, radiating reassurance that melted some of Valor's lingering trepidation. With another hesitant footfall onto solid ground came a surge of exhilaration. Each step became less about battling inner demons and more about embracing this fresh journey together. It was an awakening, a breaking free from all that had held her back for so long. But still buried deep within were remnants of doubt. What if today brought more pain? What if this was yet another false dawn? As questions swirled in her mind like autumn leaves caught in an unexpected gust, Valor pressed onward, despite uncertainty gnawing at her edges. "That's it. You're doing great." Cody cheered quietly as he crouched beside her once again, with open arms ready for any signs of struggle or hesitation. Yet even amid assurances shimmering like delicate bubbles in their shared space, each one a promise whispering softly. It wasn't easy for Valor to forget those scars embedded deep within herself. They etched not only physical reminders, but emotional ones too. Those wounds bore resilience greater than any label placed upon them by outsiders blind to true worth. And so, she leaned closer toward him again. Cody's comforting hand brushed lightly along her neck, while every soothing word flowed over them like music meant only for two. "You are strong. You have spirit." Somehow, knowing she would take these words with her, no matter what lay ahead, provided a fragile fortitude amidst uncertainty's stormy waves threatening to sweep them apart again. Valor stood in the pasture, her heart beating with a rhythm that echoed the soft thud of hooves on the earth. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over everything. But even this warmth couldn't chase away the chill that crept into her bones at the thought of what lay ahead. Today was not just another day. It marked an important moment for both her and Cody. The sound of voices reached her ears, drawing her gaze toward the open gate where a small crowd had gathered. They were strangers, faces unfamiliar, yet filled with curiosity. Some wore skeptical frowns, while others appeared intrigued, their eyes glinting like sharp blades as they took in Valor's distinct gait and club foot. She shifted uneasily on her legs, the weight of their judgment pressing down like lead. Cody stood close by, his presence grounding her amidst this sea of uncertainty. He whispered soothing reassurances under his breath as he approached his beloved mare. "You've come so far," he murmured, brushing his palm gently against her neck. "Just be yourself." But Valor could sense it. The air thickened with unspoken criticism. As she limped forward to greet these new faces, a voice broke through the whispering wind. "Is that really her? The horse everyone is raving about?" It came from a woman near the front, whose arms were crossed defiantly over her chest. "Yeah," someone else replied skeptically. "Looks more like a broken-down nag than anything special." The words stung, like barbed wire slicing through flesh, a harsh reminder of all she had fought against and overcome. Valor felt something shift within her. Old insecurities clawed at the edges of her newfound confidence, threatening to pull her back into shadows she had barely escaped. Yet Cody remained steadfast by her side, issuing gentle words that only they could understand. "Remember who you are," he said softly, as if reading the turmoil reflected in Valor's intelligent eyes. Gathering herself, despite trembling nerves, Valor stepped toward them, each careful movement signaling both vulnerability and strength. She may have been different from other horses, this was no question, but today would show them what difference truly meant. "What do you call her?" another man asked skeptically after studying Valor closely. "We haven't named her yet," Cody answered without hesitation, meeting each gaze with unwavering resolve. "She's still telling us who she is." With every word spoken in support, echoed around them like music played on a fragile instrument, one note resonating louder than all others. Resilience shone brightly, despite any imperfections visible to those judging eyes nearby. "Look at that leg," one onlooker piped up again, disdainfully, as if speaking about an object, rather than a living creature filled with spirit. "But look how far she's come," Cody countered passionately, gesturing toward Valor's progress while standing tall beside his mare, despite facing opposition head-on, like an unwavering shield protecting something precious from harm's way. Valor stood at the edge of the pasture, her heart racing as she sensed the unease in the air. Cody's presence beside her felt like a steadfast anchor, his calm voice offering reassurance as he prepared her for something new, something that would test their bond and her resilience. "Let's see how you handle this," he said softly, stroking her neck with a steady hand. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the field, but Valor's gaze was fixed on the distant sound of approaching vehicles. Their rumble echoed ominously against the tranquil backdrop of nature, hinting at an unfamiliar challenge just over the rise. A trailer rolled into view, its metal frame glinting under the fading light. Valor's breath quickened. She recalled all too vividly the memories tied to such contraptions, the cramped quarters, anxiety-laden trips to unknown places where humans had judged her worth based solely on appearances. Yet here she was now, stronger and braver than before. But would it be enough? The truck came to a halt, and several people emerged, strangers who approached with hesitant steps. She could smell their apprehension mingling with curiosity in the cool evening air. One woman stepped forward, holding out a handful of carrots while gazing at Valor intently. "Look at you," she murmured in awe. "Such a pretty girl." Yet there was skepticism beneath her admiration, a reminder that not everyone saw past that twisted leg. But Cody was ready to defend his mare as he had done countless times before. "She may not look perfect," he began firmly, standing tall beside Valor as if they formed an unbreakable wall against outside judgment. "But she has fought for everything she's achieved." The woman nodded slowly, but continued observing Valor critically. Others joined in behind her, forming a small crowd that loomed like giants over them both. They whispered among themselves about what they hoped to see from this horse, who had become somewhat of a local legend for defying expectations. As they began to move closer, Valor instinctively shifted away from their reach, retreating slightly toward Cody's side, where familiarity wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. His presence soothed away traces of doubt lingering within her mind. "It's all right," Cody reassured softly as he leaned closer to brush his fingertips along her cheekbone, an invitation rather than command in his tone. "You can do this." Valor took a deep breath. Courage swelled within her chest, while hesitation clung stubbornly at the edges of her resolve, like tendrils of fog refusing to lift completely away from sight. Steeling herself against uncertainty once more, she turned back towards them and stepped forward hesitantly. Each careful hoof fall resonated upon solid ground beneath them, until finally reaching out toward one curious child who dared come close enough. "Can I pet your horse?" asked the girl shyly, while clutching tightly onto her mother's hand. It felt like an eternity since anyone had shown genuine interest without ulterior motives hanging heavily overhead. Valor shifted her weight, the rough ground beneath her hooves reminding her of the countless times she'd fought against doubt and judgment. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, inching closer to the curious girl who had bravely approached. The child's wide eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, while her grip tightened around her mother's hand like a lifeline. "Can I pet your horse?" the girl asked softly, the vulnerability in her voice echoing through Valor's heart. It felt like such an eternity since anyone had shown genuine interest in her without looking past her imperfections. Cody knelt beside Valor, gently brushing his fingers along her cheekbone as if offering silent encouragement. "It's okay," he reassured warmly. "You can do this." His presence radiated trust, easing some of the tension that gripped Valor's chest. With cautious resolve, Valor turned to face the little girl fully. Each careful step echoed resilience as she approached cautiously, every hoof-fall resonating against the earth beneath them until she was close enough for their worlds to connect. "Hi there," Cody said, with a smile that warmed even Valor's weary spirit. "Her name is Valor." The moment hung heavy in the air, as if time itself paused. The girl's gaze flickered from Cody to Valor, taking in every detail, the way the mare stood with quiet dignity despite that club foot marking her journey through life's hardships. Valor sensed something unspoken between them, kindred spirits forged through trials and perseverance. So, when the girl finally reached out with hesitant fingers to brush against Valor's velvety muzzle, it ignited a flicker of hope within her chest, hope for acceptance and understanding amidst all those who had doubted before. "Can I really touch her?" The girl's voice trembled slightly with awe as she leaned forward. "Absolutely," Cody encouraged softly as he nodded approvingly at both of them, urging Valor to lean into this new interaction instead of retreating into fear or uncertainty. As tiny hands made contact with warm fur, a gentle exploration filled with curiosity, it ignited an indescribable feeling inside Valor. A sense of purpose blossomed anew within each subtle caress that traced along her neck and shoulder, a reminder that softness exists even in harshness. "What happened to your leg?" came another shy question from behind small lips, the innocent inquiry weighted by an awareness far beyond age or experience. Cody took this opportunity. "She was born with it," he explained tenderly while wrapping his arm around Valor affectionately. "But look at how strong she is now. She didn't let anything stop her. His words wrapped around both horses' hearts like protective armor against all those who ever dismissed valor simply because of appearances alone. I want to be strong like you. Valor stood still, her heart pounding in rhythm with the soft rustle of grass under her hooves. The children gathered around her like a halo of eager light, their faces bright with anticipation. The air buzzed with excitement and nervous energy as they reached out tentatively, fingers brushing against her warm coat. "Can I pet your horse?" a small girl asked softly, clutching her mother's hand as if it were a lifeline. This simple request, so innocent and genuine, felt like a balm to Valor's spirit, a reminder that she was more than just a club-footed creature. She was capable of connection and love. Cody stood nearby, his presence steadying as he watched the scene unfold. "Of course you can," he encouraged gently, his voice filled with warmth. He stepped closer to Valor, wrapping an arm around her neck affectionately. "She loves attention. Don't you, girl?" His words wrapped around both horses' hearts like protective armor against all those who ever dismissed Valor simply because of appearances alone. The little girl took a brave step forward and extended her hand toward Valor's soft muzzle. As their skin made contact, curiosity sparked between them. The sensation ignited an indescribable feeling inside Valor. Purpose blossomed anew within each gentle caress, tracing along her neck and shoulder, a beautiful affirmation of resilience amidst past struggles. "What happened to your leg?" came another curious inquiry from behind tiny lips, so innocent yet laced with the weight of understanding beyond years. "Yes, she was born this way," Cody explained tenderly, while squeezing Valor's neck slightly in encouragement. She didn't let anything stop her. With each word he spoke, both human and horse radiated pride, a shared bond forged through trials faced together. A spark flickered in the little girl's eyes as she listened intently, inspiration taking root deep within her young heart. "I want to be strong like you," she exclaimed suddenly. Valor's ears perked up at this declaration. Something primal stirred within her soul, a longing for kinship that echoed through generations of horses who'd fought for recognition despite their flaws. She nudged the child playfully with her nose, as if saying, "You already are!" Laughter bubbled around them like a chorus of hope. Children giggled while parents exchanged knowing glances filled with admiration for this remarkable creature who refused to be defined by limitations imposed upon her body. As more hands reached out cautiously towards Valor's form, it became clear this gathering marked not just another day on the ranch, but rather an extraordinary celebration. Their shared victories over pain and judgment uniting them under one roof called compassion, where judgments melted away like snow beneath springtime sunbeams. The air was filled with a sense of unity and hope. As Valor stood amidst the gathering of children, their laughter cascading around her like a gentle stream. Each small hand that reached out to touch her warm, soft coat was a reminder of the bond they were forming, a connection born from shared struggles and triumphs. As she felt the light pressure of curious fingers tracing along her neck and shoulder, Valor experienced an awakening sensation. It was a deep-rooted purpose igniting within her, this feeling that said she belonged. "What happened to your leg?" inquired one little voice, the question infused with innocence yet tinged by an understanding beyond years. Cody took the moment to step in, wrapping his arm around Valor affectionately. "She was born with it," he explained gently, gazing at the children with warmth. "She didn't let anything stop her." His voice radiated pride and reverence for this resilient creature beside him, serving as a living testament against all those who had dismissed her based solely on appearances. "I want to be strong like you," another child chimed in eagerly, eyes wide with admiration, reflecting dreams of overcoming their own obstacles. Valor nudged playfully at the child's side with her nose, as if saying, "You already are." The joyous laughter echoed through the pasture like music on a summer day. Children giggled while parents exchanged glances filled with awe for this extraordinary horse who defied limitations imposed upon her existence. This gathering transcended mere casual encounters. It blossomed into an extraordinary celebration under vast blue skies where compassion shone brighter than judgment ever could. The air thickened with emotions, joy mingled with tears, healing wrapped around every heart present as they embraced one another's stories. In that sun-kissed field surrounded by vibrant green grass swaying gently in the breeze, Valor felt transformed, not just as a horse, but as an embodiment of resilience for these kids, seeking solace in their own battles against pain and doubt. More hands reached out toward her form, cautiously but curiously, an invitation to forge connections not limited by disability or fear, but strengthened through empathy and understanding. "Look how happy she makes everyone," someone exclaimed from behind Cody, a testament to the warmth emanating from Valor's spirit, which seemed infectious among all who approached her. As more children gathered closer, each timidly touching different parts of her body, the crooked leg didn't seem like an imperfection anymore. Rather, it became part of what made Valor unique. Her strength apparent even amidst flaws transformed into symbols of courage visible for all to witness. Valor stood proudly in the sun-drenched pasture, her sorrel coat shimmering like molten copper against the vibrant green grass. Around her, laughter erupted, an infectious chorus of joy as children ran freely, their spirits lightened by the mere presence of this remarkable horse. Parents watched with tender smiles, sharing glances filled with gratitude for what this once-forgotten filly had become. The air was thick with warmth and the scent of blossoming wildflowers, mingling with the distant sounds of hooves thudding softly on earth. Valor's eyes sparkled as she nudged a young girl gently with her nose, coaxing giggles from the child who beamed up at her in delight. "Look how happy she makes everyone," one parent called out to Cody from behind the fence. The words hung in the air like an echo of hope, drawing nods from those nearby who recognized Valor's unique power to uplift hearts. As more children approached timidly, reaching out hesitantly toward her crooked leg and soft muzzle, Valor accepted them without hesitation. She stood tall among them, a beacon of strength that transcended physical imperfections. Her clubfoot no longer felt like a mark of weakness. Instead, it radiated courage and tenacity that encouraged others to embrace their own battles. One boy in particular knelt beside Valor, his eyes wide with wonder as he traced her form with cautious fingers. "You're not just a horse," he murmured breathlessly. "You're my hero." The sincerity in his voice resonated deeply within Cody's heart as he observed this beautiful exchange, the way Valor instinctively knew how to connect without judgment or fear. "You've got so much spirit," Cody said softly to Valor while scratching behind her ears, her favorite spot where she often leaned into his hand for reassurance. She nudged him affectionately before returning her gaze to the children around them who continued exploring every inch of her gentle frame. As hours slipped away amidst joyful laughter and tender conversations surrounding shared challenges and triumphs, Cody couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by gratitude for the journey they had traversed together. The loneliness she'd once known replaced by love and belonging now shared amongst friends gathered here under an expansive sky painted golden by afternoon sunlight. He thought back on all those moments spent rescuing each other through pain and perseverance, the nights when hope seemed faint but flickered brighter whenever she took another step forward despite limitations weighing heavily upon her small frame, and realized both he and Valor had found home not just at Bowman Ranch, but also within each other's hearts.